Did one of the most fundamental aspects of our democracy just get exposed as dangerously flawed? We're talking about the integrity of your vote, and a ballot blunder in Maryland is now forcing a national conversation. Before we dive into the chaos, if you want to stay on top of everything happening in U.S. politics, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a like. It really helps this channel grow. This past weekend, a significant error in Maryland's primary election left thousands of voters in a lurch. Around 400,000 Marylanders requested mail-in ballots, a number that highlights the growing reliance on this voting method. However, due to a vendor mistake, many of these voters received the ballot for the wrong political party. Think about that for a second. You request a ballot to cast your vote, and it arrives with the wrong choices. This isn't a minor inconvenience. It's a potential gateway to serious election integrity concerns. The Maryland Freedom Caucus, a conservative group, has seized on this incident, demanding that state election officials hand over Maryland's voter rolls to the federal government for a comprehensive audit. They are particularly concerned about the source of this mistake and how the state plans to rectify it without further compromising the process. In a statement, the caucus pointedly asked Secretary of the Election Board, Jared DeMarinis, to immediately release Maryland's voter rolls to the federal government so a proper audit can be conducted to determine the sources of the mistake. They also issued a stark warning. We caution against reissuing another 400,000 ballots, and we demand to know how the state intends to differentiate between the first and second printing of these ballots. Their core message is clear. The citizens have a right to know the exact process by which ballots will be scrutinized. With 400,000 double ballots in circulation, we need to be absolutely sure that there is one vote, one person. The Republicans are framing this mistake as proof of what they've been arguing all along, that election systems, particularly in blue states, are vulnerable and prone to errors that can suppress votes. The Maryland Freedom Caucus went as far as to say that the Maryland Democrats and the bureaucrats over at the Board of Elections have proven once again that they are the biggest purveyors of voter suppression tactics in the state of Maryland. They argue that voters receiving these flawed ballots, and then potentially receiving a second one, could have their mail-in votes erroneously submitted using the old ballot, leading to their votes being suppressed because of the negligence of the Maryland Board of Elections and the Maryland Democrats. Now, Maryland State Administrator of Elections Jared DeMarinis has stepped in, stating that the state is diligently working to ensure the accuracy of the process. He emphasized the importance of mail-in voting and the need to eliminate any doubt about its integrity. DeMarinis announced that replacement ballots are being sent out, assuring voters that every vote matters, your voice will be heard, and our elections will remain verified, open, transparent, and secure. He also added that they are actively answering phones and responding to emails to maintain transparency. The vendor responsible for the error, Taylor Print Visual Impressions, TPVI, Inc., has admitted fault and issued an apology. They confirmed that a portion of voters received ballot packets intended for a different voter segment. TPVI stated that they understand the gravity of the situation and the importance of trust in election communications. They've assured that all ballots will be remailed by May 29th, with voters being instructed to securely discard or destroy the original, incorrect ballots. Crucially, TPVI also added, there is no risk of duplicate voting as a result of this issue. Election officials have safeguards in place to ensure that only the corrected ballots included in the replacement mailing will be accepted and counted. This incident is not happening in a vacuum. It adds fuel to an already ongoing fire. The Republican National Committee has been actively pursuing Maryland's voter rolls, having sued the state in December. Their lawsuit alleged that Maryland failed to properly maintain its voter rolls and comply with federal transparency requirements. The RNC pointed to registration figures they deem implausibly high, citing instances where certain populous counties allegedly have more registered voters than adult citizens over 18, and statewide registration rates reportedly exceeding 95 according to some data, far above the census figure of 75.6. The RNC argues that federal law mandates states update voter rolls, remove ineligible registrations, and allow public inspection of list maintenance records, alleging that Maryland has repeatedly fallen short in these areas. This lawsuit follows similar actions in Hawaii and New Jersey, and broader public records requests sent to nearly every state. So what does this all mean? For Republicans, this Maryland incident is a prime example of alleged systemic failures in election administration, particularly concerning mail-in voting and voter roll maintenance. They see it as validation for their calls for more stringent oversight and federal intervention. For Democrats and state election officials, it's a regrettable but isolated vendor error that they are working to correct, with safeguards in place to prevent duplicate voting. They will likely emphasize that the issue was identified and is being addressed. The implications are far-reaching. It intensifies the national debate over election integrity, especially as we head into further elections. It puts pressure on states to demonstrate the security and accuracy of their voting processes, and it empowers groups advocating for stricter voting laws. The demands for federal review of voter rolls could lead to increased scrutiny and potential legal challenges across the country. Ultimately, this event fuels the narrative of mistrust in elections for some, while for others, it highlights the ongoing efforts to ensure every vote is counted accurately and securely. What do you think about this? Does this Maryland ballot blunder justify a federal review of voter rolls, or is it an isolated vendor error that state officials are handling? Drop your opinion in the comments below. I read every single one. The integrity of our elections is paramount, and when issues arise, transparency and accountability are key. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you the facts.